No, it's not. Well, welcome in, everybody. Going back live again. Uh, Another one of our a walk through the word Genesis. Today's episode is Angels in the Out There, Jacob's Mysterious Encounter. Um, if you are following along, we are roughly using Genesis 32 to 36.
Very roughly.
Roughly.
We are going to stick to it. Well, I
All right.
mean, we're sticking to it, but it's hard to. Okay.
All right. On to you, sir.
All right. So, welcome to a walk through Genesis. We'll explore the hidden depths of the Torah, as the first 5 books of Moses, also known as the Pentateuch. This is the story of Vayishlach, that's how you would say it in Hebrew. It's the story where Yaakov or Jacob, now on the brink of facing his brother Esav or Esau, has the encounter that will change his name and his life. So, uh, before I say this, I do want to preface to our viewers and anybody who decides to watch. The reason why we have to do these short videos is one, time. Time is not kind to anyone.
Yeah.
You should be intentional with your time and everything you do with your time. However, the point of doing these is that you get just a little bit as you go, and it doesn't destroy and melt your brain. There is a lot in the scriptures, there's a lot in the word, and so to exhaust the totality of one parsha in one setting is not really feasible.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to break it off into pieces, and so essentially, if you're following a rabbi, so you put yourself back in the shoes of the apostles. Think about what they went through. They would have heard a lot of this stuff. Now, Jesus obviously, was doing some things there. The apostles actually said that he opened their understanding. So there was a lot of things that they were privy to that we are not. But a typical rabbi during the age of Christ would have taken his students, and for about 12 years, he would teach the students the Torah. And so each day, each time they get together, you get a little bit of it and then a little bit. And then as you get deeper into it, you get more and more depth. And you still hit these same themes that we're hitting now, but you're hitting it. It's almost like looking at a diamond, right? You look at a diamond and you can turn that diamond and see different things in the diamond, but it's all the same diamond.
Yes.
So it's just a different perspective on the text and how the text relates to other texts. And what we basically do is we take the scripture, we mirror it against itself, and we say, where have we heard these things before? Where have we seen these things before? Or have we seen characters like this, in previous stories? So this is kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
But so I have a question. Have you ever faced someone or something in your life that made you pause, made your stomach twist, left you wondering if you could survive the actual encounter? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
No, you're fine. I mean, that's kind of a rhetorical question to the audience as well, but think about it like this. That is exactly what Yaakov is experiencing here. He is about to wrestle not just with the person, but with God Himself. And so we're going to talk about that. So here's an interesting way to look at it. Let's focus for a moment on the Torah story where Jacob experiences this very real fear or tension and the opportunity for transformation all in one night. So, so let's set the stage. Jacob is leaving Laban's house. He's wealthy, he's grown, and he's finally ready to return home. But Esau, his older brother, is coming with 400 men. So he's got like an entire army with him.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but that would be intimidating if you faced an army.
Very much so.
Yep. So here's the first shift. The Jacob we meet now isn't the one who ran from Esav as a child. It's not the same Jacob we were studying earlier. This is a total different Jacob. He's lived a life. He's experienced some detrimental things in his own life, and he's wondering like, what am I really doing now? He sends messengers ahead of him. He divides his camp and gives gifts to his brother. He's not hiding in fear. He's actually trying to make peace. So before we go further, it helps to understand Esav or Esau and who he actually is. So his name is Esav in Hebrew, or Esau, as we in English would call him.
Yep.
This literally means made or fully formed. He came out ready or ruddy and strong. Genesis 25:25 says, Vayetzi Hasharon, Admoni, Kulo, Ki Adaret, Siar. Um, he represents the fully formed and physical and natural order of the world. He's impulsive, he's earthy, he's powerful, often acting with immediate strength rather than strategy. One of our listeners likes to make strange comments about these things and talks about being a person after the flesh. So those are
Yep.
things we don't want to be. We don't want to be someone who's after the flesh. We want
Yes.
to be after. We want to be spirit led. So how do you become spirit led? Well, you read your Bible and you pray. Now, Bible reading and prayer looks different for everybody and every different place. Most people are probably going to disagree with that, but it doesn't really matter if you disagree or not. It's true. Because just because you read 75 chapters and pray for 45 hours does not actually make you spiritual at all. It just means that you have a deep connection with the Father. But your connection with God should not demean other people's connections with God. So, making weird comments on videos that people are trying to share the word with is just probably not appropriate, which is why we're not going to address your comment. Um, so, moving on. I just wanted to say that out loud.
Okay.
He can say whatever he wants. um, so, when someone jokes about Esau being, as someone thinks, Bigfoot, what they're really recognizing is his larger than life, wild, and forceful nature. But the Torah really frames him as real, historical, and very human, a fully formed man, dangerous when provoked. And the fall, he's the foil to Jacob's subtle, circuitous personality. Understanding that gives you the context for why Jacob is so careful, and really why God later transforms Jacob into someone direct and upright. So the whole point of Jacob or Esau's entire story is to be the opposing side to Yaakov, right? Esav is over here. He's the flesh man. He's always focused on career and sports and hunting and guns and by the way, there's nothing wrong with those things when they're in the right place. However, Yaakov always represents, or Jacob always represents, the spirit man. He's in the church. He's in the book. He's always praying. He's always reading. He's always trying to focus on the spirit things and the spiritual aspects of life.
Yeah.
Those are two opposing people that we often like to see. So the text, it says Genesis 35, 5, 8, and 10, all kind of mixed in together here. So I'll kind of try to read this in Hebrew first, and then do it also in English. So, Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim Lefani Esav Echiv El Haaretz Seir Sadeh Edom. So, and Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esav in the land of Seir, the field of Edom. And then the next verse says, it also brings up that Lefanai Esav, and he divided the people who were with him and placed the gifts in the hands of the messengers before Esav. This is the same Lefanai thing, which is very important. The Hebrew word is before the face of. So Jacob is literally moving his camp and gifts before the face of Esau, uh, seeking favor, or chen in Hebrew. He's not hiding, he's being intentional, he's trying to reconcile. Jacob is always, previous to this point, he's always trying to snake his way around people. He's dodging Laban, he's dodging Esav. He's kind of lying to his dad about who he really is. He's lying to himself about who he really is, and he takes his blessings.
Yeah.
Um, but Esav is always very, very intentional now. He's everything is out in the face of, is out in front. He's not moving in the secret realm. He's not moving in darkness anymore. Everything's out in the open. And so, this is how we should live. We shouldn't live with things in the dark. We should live with things open and in the light. Oh, this is such a good sermon. Anyway, there's a lot that can be said there, but um, yeah. So what he essentially does is, like I said, he's no longer operating in the darkness. He's operating in the light. He's allowing people to see where he moves, or at least his brother to see where he moves, and he's just being intentional with everything that he does. Um, So whether you see it as clever strategy or something else, the key is that Jacob is choosing a direct approach now instead of circling around like he used to.
Yes.
Oh. So now comes the heart of the story, and it's the night at Peniel. Uh, Yaakov is alone, and a mysterious man appears, and they wrestle until daybreak. So here's what the Torah says. This is Genesis 32:24 through 26. Veshalach et kol asher lo, vayit alem, vayavak imo ish ad boker. So, and that ish word is going to be important, so we'll focus on that. So he sent all that he had ahead, and Yaakov, was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. Here's the next verse. Vayar Viashol. Sorry, I'm gonna mess that up. Vayer Viashol Vayomer Shalachani Ki Becher Nigdal. And he said, "Let me go, for dawn has come." So this is the angel man thing figure. We'll discuss that in a minute. He's telling Jacob, "Let me go."
Yeah.
And Jacob there calls the place Peniel, the face of God. Again, here's that face thing coming up again. This is very important. That word panam, face, actually appears. So Peniel comes from that word panam. That face appears repeatedly. Jacob is not just encountering a man or an angel, he is standing face to face with Hashem, or the name, or God.
Hmm.
Um, and we'll talk more about that here in a moment. So, and here's the request that Yaakov says before he allows the angel man thing to go. He says, "Vayomer lo ashalom imlo tavrachni." He said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." So
Yes.
Yaakov asks for chesed. He asks for kindness, without making demands or bargaining. He is vulnerable, direct, and honest. So again, he's face to face. Everything's out in the open. God, this is who I am. I'm wrestling with God right here in this moment, and we're going through this battle, and I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. And of course, you're going to hear this in Western churches preached 1,000 different ways. It's totally fine. It's not that those things are any bad. It's just really on how you're actually looking at that word, and where you are in your life. God will bring you a word for your life for that moment. So, you might hear preachers and might say, "Oh, I don't want to listen to them anymore. I'm listening to this guy." Well, that's not necessarily wrong to listen to them. What are they saying, and are they saying, is it a good word for you?
Yeah.
Is it the word right for you in your heart and in your mind? And I would just encourage people, find a pastor, find someone that can lead you to the Lord, find someone that can help you be guided to Christ and to the Creator. Um, and this is kind of where Jacob is. He's just wrestling with God. There's nothing wrong with that. So we'll get into what that means. One of the rabbis I like to frequent emphasizes the ladder from. So we're actually going to shift here because I'm going to answer a question that we had last time. So he has an emphasis on the ladder from Yaakov's dream in Vayetze, which is Genesis 28:12 through 13. Now, he is not a Messianic believer. He doesn't believe in Yeshua, but he does make a lot of good connections, and I don't know, maybe he might. That's why I'm trying to keep his name out of it. Anyway, so he says, and we kind of went over this last week, but Ve'in Shulam Matzav Atzara. So, and behold, the ladder set up on the earth, its top reaching to heaven, and behold, the angels of God ascending and descending upon it. So, centuries later, Yeshua, Jesus, actually makes this reference to one of his coming disciples, Nathaniel, as you would say his name in Hebrew, or Nathaniel. Okay, this is John 1:51, and I'll just read it in English. "Truly, truly, I say to you, you will see heaven opened and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man." So the ladder, the angels, and the theophany all point to one figure, and I'm sure you understand who this is. It's Yeshua. It's Jesus Christ, the risen King of glory. Um, Jacob's wrestling, like Nathaniel's blessing, is a face-to-face encounter with heaven. So, same concept happening here. When you hear that ladder being spoken, when you hear particular things in the New Testament that you have heard in the Old Testament, the question is, where have I heard that before? Because
Right.
this is exactly what the readers of these books are going to read 60 some years, 30 some years, 20 some years after the events of, the four gospels being actually recorded. They're not actually recorded until much time afterward, but these stories were passed on. People heard these stories and they often wondered, like, hey, and what's the situation here? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Um, so you should always ask, like, where have I heard this before? Where else in the Torah does this show up? And that's always a great question to ask. So, no matter how we imagine it, angel, spirit, or something beyond human comprehension, the Torah is clear. Jacob faces God here, and it's through that direct struggle that his life actually transforms. So, we'll talk about the name change now. So, after this encounter, Jacob receives a new name, and his name in Hebrew would be Yisrael or Israel. Obviously, we know that.
Yes.
So, the Hebrew is Vayomer lo yakari od shimcha Yaakov ki im Yisrael ki sa'arta im Elohim ve'im anashim vaktochal. He said, your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with men and prevailed. So Yaakov, his name actually means heel or binding or being roundabout or being circuitous and kind of just never being upfront, never being honest, never being on the real stuff, right? Like just being
Right.
a person. Israel actually means straight, upright, direct with God and people. So that's the struggle, right? Upright, direct with God. His life's circuitous path leads to a moment of honesty and direct encounter. Panim is face and chesed is kindness. Those are central themes here in Genesis 32 and 30. So again, these themes continue to show up, and they will continue to show up as this Israel narrative continues on throughout the actual story. So everything Jacob has learned about fear, manipulation, and direct confrontation culminates in this new name, Yisrael. So no matter what your first thought is, how could wrestling with God make a difference? What do you think, Troy?
How can it make a difference? I don't know, because you're not going to win,
It's not about winning.
but you show perseverance in the fact that you wouldn't give up, kind of thing. But other than that, I don't know.
Yeah. So it's not about actually. Jacob clearly doesn't win. In fact, Jacob actually comes out of that with a limp.
Yes.
And so a lot of times, kind of what you're seeing is when we do wrestle with God, it's not to win the argument. It's not even to win the battle. It's to do exactly what you said it was, to come out as someone who is I'm missing words here, but someone who is direct, someone who is always upfront, just as Jacob is being now with his brother. After this encounter, he becomes these things. He becomes direct. He becomes upfront. He becomes intentional with everything that he's doing because he has wrestled with God. So now that he's wrestled with God, there is a difference here. A lot of people come into this battle, and I would say there's honestly a lot of people here right now. You're wrestling with God. You're not really sure what God really wants of you. And so the idea is, I'm going to win this wrestle. It's not about winning. It's about coming out with a new perspective. And that's exactly what Yaakov ends up doing. He goes from the deceiver to the Yisrael level, which is actually higher than the deceiving level, right? His name means deception. His name means to deceive, heal, circuitousness, to go around, to kind of sneak or whatever. But now his name is Yisrael, which means I have wrestled with God and I have wrestled with him face to face, and I am no longer going to hide whatever it is that's in my heart.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be up front, and I'm going to let God deal with those things right there directly and in front of God himself. I would argue there are probably certain things that people deal with that shouldn't be blasted on the internet, shouldn't be blasted, in front of the church. Deal with those things in privacy. Deal with those things with the man of God, a shepherd that can guide you and lead you through that difficult task. But wrestling with God is not a bad thing. Wrestling with God is not about winning. It's simply about perspective change. Now I saw myself as a deceiver, but now I see myself as someone who is face to face with God, as someone who is wrestling with God, and as someone who is no longer what I used to be, but I am made new. So that's the name change. The name change is a huge thing when it comes to the Torah.
Yeah.
So remember, the Torah emphasizes panim and chesed. It's about being seen by God and asking Him for His chesed, His kindness. That's the transformation right there. It's God, will you shine your face on me? Will you put your countenance on me? It's the um, the Aaronic blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai vishmerecha ye'er Adonai panavilecha vichonecha. It's that which is the uh, uh, I say it way better in Hebrew because I've memorized it.
Yeah.
It's the in English, it's the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift His countenance upon you. And give you peace and stuff. That is, and I probably botched that in English, so forgive me, but that is exactly what's going on there. Is he's rolling that in. He's
Yeah.
allowing that thing to be the transformation there. So it's essentially that blessing. So, okay, so we're coming to a close now. Where are we at? We're at 21 minutes. We're doing really well.
Yep.
Let's take a breath.
Okay.
Water. Do you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
Not yet.
Good. I don't see any comments from anybody. So
I don't.
I'm sure we'll get
Trying
one.
trying to provoke, but not getting there.
That's okay. Um, I don't know what that means. I just got a random email. Sometimes you get these emails. Don't open those emails. You know what? Just click the delete button. It's better for that.
Yep.
Never open anything you don't know what it is. Okay. So before we close, here are some questions that I want our guests, our people who are going to be listening now or even later. Troy, I want you to really consider these thoughts in your mind and
Okay.
really internalize this stuff. And don't be afraid of whatever that answer is. It's okay. I mean, it's not like you're not going to be graded on this test. So here's question number one: where in your life are you bending around fear instead of confronting it? These are just kind of rhetorical questions, so don't answer them. Answer them for yourself. Um, Question number two: when have you struggled face to face with God, or even with someone important in your life, like a minister? There's a lot of church hurt going on, so a lot of people are struggling with ministry. Where are you struggling and wrestling with that person face to face, or maybe even God Himself? Maybe there's a situation in your life, loss of a job, loss of a loved one, something, any kind of loss, disappointment. How are you wrestling with God? What does that mean for you personally? And again, don't answer that because these are, rhetorical questions. Question number three: how does asking for chesed, kindness, rather than making demands, change the way you engage with God and people? What this kind of does for us here is it shifts us from God being a genie who does what we want to God being He's the one in control, and I'm asking for His kindness. And so I'll just give you an example. I have a situation in my life I want to change. I have not gotten an answer on it. In fact, I've gotten less than the best answers, in my opinion. Uh, so what have I done? God, be kind to me. Be kind to me. Change my perspective on this. How can I see this differently, Lord? What am I missing? Am I missing
Yeah.
something? Is there something I have to do here before I transition to that next area? What is that thing? That is kind of that showing the chesed, showing kindness. I'm not asking him. I'm not telling God, you have to do this. You've got to do this.
Yeah.
It's not that. What it really is God, be kind to me. Make this thing happen for me. Whatever, and maybe maybe it's a new job. Maybe it's a new car. Maybe it's a relationship that you want that you don't have right now. Maybe it's with a parent, or there's this cute girl at the mall that you keep breaking your segue past. And, every time you see her and she's putting on different wigs and stuff, you hit a van and you fall down. Okay, that's a little specific. I feel like I'm talking about Blah Blah Mall Cop, but that's beside the point. Anyway, so I actually watched that over Thanksgiving. It's a wonderful show. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So, how are you going to change? Not making demands of God, but basically putting God in control and saying, okay, I know you're in control, but I'd like you to release me from this place, or I'd like for you to maybe help me figure out what is the next step. How can I do what you've called me to do, but also changes the way that you engage with God for the better. God is not a genie in a bottle. You don't rub the Bible 3 times and a little genie pops out, and you're like, "Okay, God, I got my 3 wishes. I need my football team to win. I need to hit the lotto, and I need a supermodel wife." God's probably not going to give you those things, and if He does, then maybe you're just highly blessed. I don't know. If He does, we would like for you to call us and to tell us what you're doing, so we can get the same results. Anyway, that was a joke, by the way. So Jacob's story. I'm gonna finish up here because I feel like I'm gonna rabbit trail. So I apologize. We're at
It's
25
okay.
seconds, 25 minutes. So Jacob's story reminds us true strength comes not from avoidance or cunning, but from honest confrontation with the challenges in front of us. And as Yeshua reminds Nathaniel, when we face a divine directly, heaven will open and we will see angels ascending and descending, God's presence revealed to transform us. Um, I did also want to add, we talked last week, why are the angels ascending first and then descending? Those
Correct.
angels were actually with Jacob, and then they ascend into heaven and then they return. So they are with Jacob. Same thing with Nathaniel. You don't always know who's around you. And I'll give you a story. There's a prophet in the Bible, army surrounding this prophet and his apprentice. The apprentice is shaking in his boots, and the prophet prays, "Open the eyes of the lad." And then all of a sudden, he opens his eyes and he sees the mountains full of angels. You never know who's really with you. And
Right.
so Jacob had these angels with him the whole journey he's going. And it just so happens that when he lays his head down to go to rest here at this latter scene, that he first sees the angels going up and then they're coming back down. Same thing with Nathaniel. He is seeing the same thing. He will see that Yeshua, Jesus, is actually that ladder. He's the fulfillment of that ladder that Jacob's story is all about. It's about Jacob being in this wrestling thing with Christ. And so a lot of people call this a Christophany. I don't agree with that language. I like using this word theophany. It's a theophany that Jacob wrestles with. But it's God. It is God. Because an angel comes and they're called messengers of God, malachim or malach, a messenger of God. Okay, so I did want to tie that up. So, whatever your question is in your mind, the Torah shows us that facing God honestly, asking for His chesed, His kindness, and standing straight with the people around us is where real transformation really begins. So I want to thank you for joining us on a walk through Genesis. Next week, we're going to explore the parsha even deeper. But until then, may you wrestle with courage and may your own Peniel encounter bring you into God's chesed, His kindness. We'll see you next time. And that is 27 minutes and 55 seconds. Pow!
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Um, please start throwing some questions in the comments. We'd love to answer some. If you can't tell, Alex loves to go on rabbit trails. So throw those in there and we'll see what we can do. Thank you guys very much.